We are live, more or less, from Las Vegas. With Mark Anthony, I'm Rick Rosen. This is Good Sports. What's happening, buddy? Welcome back, man. You were out of the country? You were in some foreign nation?
I was in Utah. Same thing.
Okay, close enough. Yeah, I'm certain that qualifies by most people's definitions.
Wow.
Well, how was it?
Well, Bryce and Zion, always beautiful.
What year is it in Utah?
It depends on what part.
80, 85, somewhere in there. 1950s and in other parts. Yeah, I got it. All right, man.
Hey, see, you know, we are next to southwestern Utah, which is Mormonville. Okay, it is where all the polygamists are. Okay, and
well, I wouldn't say all.
Well, okay,
I know a couple here.
The largest group of polygamists live in southwest Utah, and it's always
and Arizona.
Yes,
yeah,
you know,
it's right across the border.
Yeah, it's right there on the border. Colorado City sits there. That's where what's his name?
Warren Betts.
Warren Jeffs. Yeah.
No, that's it. That's right.
And I always tell my tour groups this about several years ago. Came through there, and I give them the history of the Mormons, and I give them the history of the Mormon Church and the polygamists, and and all of this stuff, and why they're in southwestern Utah. And we stopped in Kanab. Now, Kanab is as exciting of a town as it sounds. Okay, and
hey, it's nice when you come the back way and you reach Kanab, Utah. It's like civilization again. Birkin, it's the first place I hit coming that way. Yep.
And one of my guests, we had stopped at a convenience store, and one of my guests had picked up one of those real estate magazines, that show all the houses for sale.
Oh yeah.
And she's going through it, and she elbows me and she goes, "You're right." And I'm like, "Of course I am, but what am I right on?" And she circles it, and there's an ad for a ranch just outside of Kanab, and this was the headline: "Perfect starter home, 6 bedrooms." Wouldn't you love to know that you're marrying somebody, and the first thing the family expects you is to fill a 6-bedroom house?
Well, yeah, I think there's pluses and minuses to it. Guys get, I think 3-ways are popular. So there's also always the physical attraction. I don't know what a 7-way does when you got 6 bedrooms. Maybe some of them bedrooms are dedicated to the leftover kids, but
and then Kanab, in 2000, I think it was 2010, they changed the law where you could wear a 2-piece bathing suit out in public instead of a 1-piece. Up until 2010, you could only wear a 1-piece, but they never designated top or bottom. They just said 1.
So now we're up to maybe the early 60s.
Yes.
They're in Kanab. Okay, that's cool. Well, I'm glad you're back, man. You haven't missed anything other than the following. Lamar Odom was found unconscious after reportedly taking cocaine. And 10, if your erection lasts more than 4 hours, call a doctor. The active ingredient in what he was taking is sildenafil. He was supposed to be taking an herbal dick hardener. I don't know what the exact medical phrase is, but that's it. And he supposedly took 10 of them. Well, it's the same as taking 10 Viagras, or close enough to it to evidently damn near kill a 6'10" very healthy man. And wow. All the paparazzi, all the press has been here outside of Sunrise Hospital for days and days, holding watch, and they're somewhat disappointed that the guy didn't die. They were already with their best obituary reports, and now he's opened his eyes and he's speaking. He said good morning, and reports are that he slept most of yesterday and coming out of the coma, and expected to be all right. He's still listed as in critical condition, but Lamar Odom, God bless him, one of the most popular players amongst other players, to be in the NBA. The Lakers certainly had a special affinity for Lamar Odom. I think he won 2 championships with them. And Kobe Bryant was playing in an exhibition game here in Las Vegas the night of the tragedy with Lamar Odom, or at least very close to a tragedy. I mean, when they have to bring you back, when they have to do CPR on you 3 times to get you to remain with us, that's close. That's about as close as to death as you can get. They could have just gone ahead and not done anything and pronounced him dead. So, but they brought him back, and God bless the people, the first responders, and all the people that work in the emergency rooms, and they tried to airlift him, and he could not fit in the ambulance in the helicopter without being all cramped up, and they thought that might kill him. So they then had to go to Plan B and drive him down here to Vegas. And obviously he's getting good enough care there at Sunrise Hospital that it's brought him back to amongst the living. But
okay. So the question remains. Yeah. Does he still have a heart on?
Well, you would think after 10 of those, man. I mean, I think, it came close to rigor mortis rather than rigor dicus. So I think there's once you cross that line, dude, it's so anyhow, we're happy to report that Lamar Odom seems to be much, much better. He has regained consciousness. There was always the threat of brain damage. They didn't know how much there was. So he's regained consciousness and is able to speak and those kind of things. Those are all good signs. I don't think he will come out of this unscathed. I think he will have some leftover injuries and probably not be all that anxious. I would hope not to take Viagra or herbal Viagra or whatever you want to call it. You can't, he paid, here's the deal. 75 grand got him the VIP suite at the brothel up there in Crystal, Nevada, just outside of Pahrump, and it's the Love Brothel or something like that. And I mean, honest to God, I am a huge proponent of those things. I'm not big on hypocrisy, Mark, and there's prostitution in all 50 states, and now that they've legalized weed, and that dam has at least had some cracks in it between Washington and Colorado and some of the states, and most all of them have accommodated at least medical marijuana. I think you are seeing that they've finally come to the realization you cannot legislate morality. I mean, Jesus' best friend was a prostitute. So if it was good enough for Jesus, whether he partook or not, I don't think is anybody's business. But 75 grand, I guess that included the babes. I would hope that was not just rental on the room. Wow. But you actually got some action for it. But those things go on, and it's what happens up there. Lamar Odom ain't the first guy to haul his cache of drugs in there and have at it and have a great weekend or whatever it was. Reports are that he'd taken a phone call from his soon-to-be ex, or at least planned to be ex, Khloe Kardashian, and then said, "Screw it, I'm going to go to a whorehouse and blow 75 grand and take some liquid Viagra or some herbal Viagra and some cocaine and see what happens." Well, now we know what happens. When you do that, you end up at Sunrise Hospital in intensive care with tubes and needles and all that crap stuck in you. So, let this be a lesson. If you got 75 grand laying around, don't just go willy-nilly up to the brothel.
Actually,
but that's what he did. Yeah.
Actually, it proves 2 points.
Yes. What 2 points would that be?
No matter how hot the woman is, somewhere along the line, someone is tired of her shit.
That's right. And moving on.
And they had to go to a brothel.
And again, let's just say, okay, the guy wasn't a hypocrite. I'm going to a brothel. I took a limo up. I signed a few autographs. I picked a couple girls, and I said, okay, we'll see you in the morning. And they did whatever they did, and they went back. They hadn't heard from him, and went back the next day and found him blowing blood out of his nose and his mouth and frothing and all the things that you would think are just before they said, well, put the toe tag on him, and we're going to need an extra long casket. So, but it has been somewhat disgusting, Mark, just to see the attitudes of the people that are covered here. Not necessarily from our local people. I think we're used to stars, and Lamar Odom is ex-NBA player and part of the Kardashians and the reality TV and all that nonsense. still not, I think, a guy you would consider an A-lister. Kobe's an A-lister. Tom Brady and Giselle, they're A-listers. And you get down to guys that won 2 championships and were 6th man of the year and not starter of the year. And now you're talking about maybe not an A-lister, but they've treated him in the press very much like, this is the greatest guy to ever strap on sneakers and walk onto a basketball court. And that's not the case. And they seem somewhat disappointed that the guy didn't die. There was a noticeable drop in their enthusiasm on the reports, and you would think they would, hey man, the guy woke up, he came out of the coma, and it's like, well, Lamar Odom spoke, and he opened his eyes, and it was very, very low key. So
the Kardashians are leaving Las Vegas. Thank you.
Oh yeah, and not a minute too soon. Who has less talent, the Kardashians or the Hiltons?
Wow.
I can't discern any from either group, but I mean, where Paris Hilton? Yes, Barron's granddaughter. What's her skill? So far, it was the sex tape, which didn't look like that much skill. I mean, in all honesty, you can kind of see that downtown if you look in the alleys and stuff. And I mean, it wasn't a well-produced porno. On the other hand, the Kardashians are they're at times a train wreck. I mean, you just think of what's happened in this past, let's say 6 months. You got the Bruce Jenner transition. What is her name now? Starts with a K. I know Caitlyn Jenner. Okay, okay, cool. But I mean, imagine being married, and I know you are, Mark, at least momentarily, or for hopefully for the rest of your life, but at least for now.
Number 4, buddy.
Number 4.
Number 4. There it is.
Take a number, ladies. Anyhow, imagine being married for that long, and then your spouse coming to you and saying, "Hey, listen, I'm going to have a sex change." So now, your father-in-law is now your mother-in-law. That's what Odom has gone through. And everything living in that fishbowl is not as much fun as it seems like for some of these people. And some people handle it well and some don't. And it just seems like a circus. So I think Las Vegas will survive quite well with the Kardashians being elsewhere.
Well,
Kobe had to be in town and went by the hospital and,
See, it's really funny because with my website, The Vegas Tours, I get all kinds of questions about celebrities coming to Vegas and all that. And I always answer, it's Vegas. We are so used to the celebrities coming here and doing stupid things. It doesn't make front page. Okay. I mean, we have that family up in North Las Vegas where the mother took the daughter out to teach her how to drive at 1 o'clock in the morning and got killed by a gangbanger that, that makes headline
mistaken
news.
Identity.
Yeah. Okay. When you get to that level of stupidity, then you'll make the front page. But getting drugged up on fake Viagra at a brothel when you're hooked up with a Kardashian, page 5.
And what's really cool, Mark? We are the epicenter for so much in sports. It would be hard to find a place. If they would ever play a Super Bowl here or something like that, it would absolutely be the icing on the cake there. But we really are the epicenter of a great deal of sports activity here in Las Vegas, even though we do not have one of the big 4 franchises going for us. I mean, my gosh, we could not be more of the headquarters for mixed martial arts.
Right.
I don't care where else on earth they go when they come here to Vegas, and they're whether at the Mandalay Bay or or the Thomas and Mack.
You know what?
Go ahead.
We're missing that.
We're missing what?
Over at the Palms, you can rent a suite with a regulation half-court basketball court.
Oh yeah, you've never been up there?
They need one with an MMA ring in it. I think that's my idea. Take a hotel suite, put an MMA ring in it. You can hire a couple of MMA girls. That
ring girls? Yeah. We can referee. I think he's hurt. We're good. So, thank you. All right. Well, we have fans now watching us do the show. So, It's our friend Wes just walked
College
in.
football.
We have college football things. Well, as a matter of fact, Michigan and Michigan State are playing in the Big House, so there's 110,000 people watching the two teams, and it's a very good game, very close game. That seems to be going well. The Florida and LSU play. The number, obviously, at least I think the number one player in college football, Fournette, for LSU. Well, you hand that guy the ball and you just start telling warning the people up in the scoreboard. Okay, get ready because the number's about to change. This guy's got the ball. We're coming down to the meat of the season, and November 2nd, they have their next meeting for the 4-team playoffs, and that's how that's going to come about. So everybody's kind of positioning. You will see teams run up scores now. Teams that are on the periphery. I would say somebody in the top 10 who knows they have between now and November 2nd to impress the people that make the decisions. So that's this game and the next game. And so if you get a chance to, and Michigan State is 2014, Michigan with 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter, it looks like. So again, a pretty close game, which is what you expect from these rivalry games. And so sometimes your athletic director earns their keep by how they put your schedule together. If they schedule your bye week before your big opponent, then it gives you 2 weeks to study and prepare and those kind of things. So, but it all comes down to these next 10 or 12 days, Mark, where you are going to see some real high scores, and just somebody's trying to impress the people that make the decisions on whether they're in this 4-team playoff. They always are going to leave out somebody who has a legitimate shot. When you only take 4, somebody that has a legitimate shot of getting hot and winning the championship, whether they have one loss or whatever it is left out of that deal. And much like the NCAA has moved the March Madness, it used to be 8 teams, and now it's 60. What do they have? 66, 68, something like that, with all the playing games and all that. So that's about half of the teams that play college basketball make the NCAA tournament now. When UCLA was winning all their championships, it was 8 teams. So you started in the grade 8 and went to the Final Four, and so you won 3 and you were the national champions. Now it's a whole month of, oh my God, elimination games. But yeah, in football, they've got the 4 teams, and it's a step in the right direction from that BCS nonsense that always left a bunch of people out. So now at least they settle it on the field, but they have that problem of extending the season to playoffs are different in basketball than they are in football. In football, it takes a while to recover. Not that it doesn't in basketball, but it's just a much shorter while and a lot different, bumps and bruises. You don't play football, particularly at the college level. If you're in the NCAA Division I football, you're in there with some big people, and you get hit, and you're a ball carrier, and you carry the ball 20 times. You're not ready to play tomorrow. You're soaking your knees and your whatever else hurts, and you don't have that in basketball. So it's a much easier deal to expand the basketball tournament than it would be for football.
I always have to laugh because I have a friend here in Vegas who came from Michigan, and I mean, he blocks this day out when Michigan plays Michigan State. It's phones off, cell phones off. There's no computer. You are in front of that television.
Oh yeah.
And when I lived in Georgia, I was like 23 years old. I am not I wasn't a sports fan down there, and this one day, the whole town just shut down. I mean, shopping malls were closed. There was, you didn't go out. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And they're like, it's Georgia versus Florida. It's I'm like, yeah. So, and they're like, no, everyone's in front of the, college football is a huge thing for some of these states. It's amazing.
Yeah. And they, you talked about the war amongst the hedges. That's Florida, Georgia, and they have some big matchups, big rivalry matchups. And I don't know there gets much bigger than this, except Michigan, Ohio State. I mean, The same team. But this is a great day. These campuses are 8 miles apart, and this would be a great day to be a burglar in somewhere in Ann Arbor, Michigan, because ain't nobody home. They're all at the big house, you know. And what a tremendous college atmosphere. You know, you can't see those uniforms, and I hope they never change them at Michigan and not think of Bo Schembechler and when Woody Hayes was at Ohio State. I mean, what a tremendous rivalry, and that came about. And Michigan State has always been the little brothers. And, you know, although they've had some tremendous players there, Kirk Cousins, the guy that has been in the news lately as the quarterback of choice now with Washington, certainly was a huge star at Michigan State. And but they've always been thought of as the little brother, and they refer to them as that. And Jim Harbaugh comes from the Niners, and you know, leaves people glad that he left, and ends up at Michigan, and now they're playing ball about as well as you can play. I mean, I think they pitched 3 shutouts in a row, which is almost unheard of in this day of not only very intricate offenses, but the officials, the rules make it much more easy to score than to stop scoring. They've taken quite a bit of the tools out of the defender's hands. So when you pitch a shutout now, it counts more than it used to. When you can hold somebody to nothing, as skewed as things are towards the offense, that is a bigger deal than it used to be. And Michigan has that defense playing. But 2014, and I'm getting 7, so I'm good. They'll just fire off the gun. I am good. Here, I'll tell you what I have, and we'll have to put this up there. I have LSU -7, Michigan State +7, and I have the over in the Cubs and Mets game, and it's over 6.5. Yeah, over 6.5. Lester and John Lester and Matt Harvey, the 2 opposing pitchers. And I always wonder why do they, you know, they always put the pitcher's record. He was 14-2. Yeah, well, did he pitch to himself? He had a catcher back there. How come the catcher doesn't get that same record on his resume? How about the first baseman that played in every one of those games? You know, but they give they put the wins and losses onus on the pitchers. It's not always the pitchers. You know, you got guys that can't play defense behind you. Okay, and that hurts you. You got guys that can't score runs for you with the bats. Okay, then that hurts you. It affects your record. So it's tough to just quantify everything. But baseball is huge on their numbers and things that trends and those kind of things. The 3 of the 4 teams left. Outside of Kansas City, you have Toronto and Kansas City. I'm sure TV executives everywhere were contemplating taking a great deal of Viagra all at one time and going out with the bang, as they say, when it came to Kansas City and Toronto. I mean, not 2 real big TV markets, certainly with Toronto being in Canada. There's some differences there that are you know, I mean, Toronto is a very wonderful city, great food. If you can't have fun in Toronto, you probably need an autopsy. But it's just not a huge television market, and certainly some things don't translate over well across the border. Some do, some don't. And but on the other hand, the executives on the National League side, they're damned happy. They got the Cubs in, who may very well get back to the World Series since around World War II. And or the Mets. You got 2 of the 3 biggest markets, television markets in the United States playing there. So it is a very noticeable difference between the 2 series. But they're playing hard, and 3 of the 4 teams, the Toronto Blue Jays, up until 2 years ago, were the farm team. We were the Las Vegas 51s. Were the farm team for the Toronto Blue Jays. So quite a few of the players that are playing now or on the roster now. We're here. We got to see them. And now we are the farm team of the Mets. And by golly, it's the same thing. Noah Syndergaard's going to go in game 2 Sunday night. And he was a pitcher here for the 51s and Mets. And several of those guys, I got the picture of them all standing together. And I think there's only one of them that remained with the 51s the entire year. So, and then, of course, there's the Cubs. And this is, I don't care what anybody says, this is a Cubs town. If we were closer to Chicago, there'd be a lot more road trips. But it's just a very, very nice thing that we got to see a great deal of the talent that's playing to go to the World Series. We're guaranteed of having at least one team that has a very recent Vegas connection being in the World Series. I mean, it's either going to be Chicago or the Mets, and they both were here. So you got to see a lot of guys. So I think it's cool for Vegas baseball. Couple things, Mark. Not necessarily the police blotter, but I guess it is the bladder blotter. That bladder. Finally, I mean, gosh, don't do this too quick. Everybody but him was taking money. You've got everybody. Oh, but that guy, no, he knew nothing about it, and he wasn't taking any money and didn't do anything. So, FIFA, the people that control soccer, finally said, okay, we're going to give you a 90-day suspension. And they're arguing about that. If he had just resigned, now he's got a 90-day suspension. What the hell's the difference?
Yeah.
And he's not coming back, and he's done bad harm to soccer, but it will survive. Set bladder. It's just kind of how things were done. And they're running him out. He's done as a world figure, unless he goes to jail, in which case he'll be somebody's bitch. That brings us to the Pro Bull Rider World Finals. And by the way, that's a very nice picture on your monitor behind you, Mark. Who took that?
I think that's yours.
Hey, I recognize that photo, but it's still cool. It's nice you have it on the monitor back there. Yeah. The Pro Bull Rider World Finals are coming in. I believe Media Day is Tuesday. And we're going to have some interviews, and of course, I always like to talk to JB. But there's so many parts of that deal that have to work. I'm a huge fan of the bullfighters. I think one of the greatest entertainers I have ever seen. Well, I know one of the greatest entertainers I have ever seen. In Flint Rasmussen, will be here, and the energy that guy puts out to make everybody smile. And how successful he is at that. Anybody that's in the media, anybody that wants to do something entertainment-wise, you need to look at how Flint Rasmussen goes about his business, because he is the ultimate pro. And in that very same vein, one of the nicest people on earth, who's as professional and awesome as I've ever known anybody to be, is Leah Garcia, who is the announcer, the sideline reporter for the Pro Bull Riders, and what a tremendous job Leah does. And it's just always a real cool thing, just until you get to the Bulls and the Bull Riders. You've got this great organization, and they do a wonderful job. And this is the end of an era. This is the last Pro Bull Rider World Finals at the Thomas and Mack. I think, much to my chagrin, if nothing else, Mark. And I don't think it's a wonderful thing but we will see how it works out. But nonetheless, this is the last year that the World Finals are going to be at the Thomas and Mack, and they're going to schedule to move to the.
They're not tearing the place down, Rick. It'll still be.
Well, yeah, but they're not having it there. Yeah, I'm saying they just won't have it there. By the way, 23-14. 23-14.
So sad about that.
23-14 Michigan over Michigan State, until Michigan State just ran one in with the guy that's got to be close to 300 pounds. I don't know if that's a tight end or what, but that's a big man that just rumbled with the pass and got it. Wow, what a big guy. He was hauling it down there like a trash truck headed for the dump, and I don't think he scored. I believe he's going to be about a yard short on this. I think his knee hit before the ball went over the line. But nonetheless, Michigan State bouncing right back, and they're at the big house, and this is a big game, and that's cool. Pro Bull Riders, on the other hand, Mark, a lot of these guys toil in anonymity. The Brazilian contingent comes up, and they have their own group, and probably more well supported. Flint will mention a state or something like that, and he'll talk to the Texans, and then the people from Montana will be there, and there's, here and there, and California is always well represented by riders. But when you get the Brazilians, it don't matter what part of Brazil you're from, and they're big. I mean, Brazil is a big country. They have some pretty divergent places in the same country, much like America does. I mean, there's a difference between Alabama and Minnesota. And they're the same kind of divisions in Brazil, but nobody really pays attention to that here. You're Brazilian, they raise that Brazilian flag, then people go nuts. And they're very, very together. They really work well as a team, and so they are the big threats. But we're going to start with the Bulls, Mark. And when you look down this lineup of Bulls, I'll read you the top 10, and you think, here's what JB Mooney has done. They have a draft for the Bulls that you're going to ride. Any night they say, okay, these are however you finish today, these are the next day's Bulls. And the number one guy gets first pick. So JB Mooney, by not playing it safe, by taking the toughest bull, he took airtime a couple weeks ago and didn't have to, but he took airtime. That forced everybody behind him to take the toughest bull, not one they could ride and score 85 on, one that they probably aren't going to ride, but if they do, they're going to get 92 or 93 on. That's the only way. I think JB's playing it very smart. First of all, that's just the kind of balls the guy has. He doesn't want to back in or mamby-pamby it in. He wants to win it outright, and I believe that's exactly what he's going to do. But when he picks airtime, that means the next guy down the line has to take asteroid right behind him, because if JB rides airtime or JB takes asteroid, you got to take Roy or Mickey Mouse, or you can't just wait till I think I can get an 85 on this bull. You can't do it. So JB really is playing it much like there's one guy with the big money stack at a poker table. JB Mooney has enough chips in his hand now to make everybody else play it his way, and so I think he's very much in control. But here's the lineup of the top, at least the top 9 Bulls, Mark. I guess there's a tie for ninth with Spotted Demon and Big Benny, and those are the 9, and at 44.5, their average Bull score. That means if the Cowboy does his deal, that's an 89 on the average, and but nobody's ridden them, so they're bucked off. They're 7-0, 2-0, and then you get the Smooth Operator, 16-1. Oh my goodness, he has a 93.75%. His half of the score, Smooth Operator, 44.72. There again, 89-point rides. Now we're into the 90s. Number 7, Stone Sober. Nobody's ridden him, and his average bull score is 45. Well, I'm telling you what, if a cowboy rides him, is averaging 45. He's already the world champion. He would be uncatchable. Airtime next up, 45.13, 100%. Bruiser, 45.29. Sweet Pros Long John. I don't know how they got that name, but anyway, he's at 45.29. Mickey Mouse, 45.38. Roy, who is the half brother of Bushwhacker, I believe, and then Asteroid. And Asteroid has 46. That's a 92 score. If you happen to ride Asteroid, you get a 92 points if you just do your half of the deal, and that's enough to win damn near any round of any competition. So, for the young men that ride the Bulls, I guess we'll work down from the guy who, I mean, he has an advantage that is just, I don't know how you catch JB. He's up 1,300 points going into the World Finals, and he's going to have a very, very poor World Finals for him not to win the championship. It's JB Mooney. 1,315 points over Yao Ricardo Vieira. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you look at JB, the guy is just, he is a machine, okay? First of all, but he is a calculating machine, and he's always going to calculate on the high side. I am going to take the best ball out there because I'm going to get the highest point, or I'm going to get nothing. And he doesn't leave the top bull for the next guy to go past him. It's like, I'm not going to give you a chance. The only way you're going to get a chance is if that bull takes me out. And even then, as long as he's got a pulse and he's got an eye open and he's got a wrist that they can wrap him into, he's going to ride. But but in the World Finals, you have the 45 top bull riders who are already at the top of the game, they can't slack down at all because they've got JB sitting there going, come here, come here.
Yep.
Take me on. Come on, buddy.
I'll see that and raise you 10.
Yes.
And that's exactly what he's doing. Like I say, he's very much in control. And some guys, he not only has the skill to ride the bulls and the talent, but he also knows how to play the game. And that's a very, very good combination. I mean, people talk about the Patriots like that. Oh, they cheat and they do that. No, they just play well. They know the rules. They play, and they, if you're not pushing the envelope, then you're leaving something there, and that's not a good thing to do. And so that's how this championship's going to be won. I'll be very surprised if it's not JB. He's ridden 59% of the bulls that he's been on. He's been up 76 times, and he's ridden 45 of them in 30 events.
Awesome. It's just the energy that he brings to the Thomas and Mack is just amazing to be in there. And again, because he drives everyone else to give it 105% when he gives it 120%. Yeah. Every ride in there is just an amazing ride, and just the energy level. And I try to explain this to folks who have never been to the pro bull riders is they are competitors, but they cheer each other on.
Oh, yeah. They're competitions, the bulls.
Yeah.
And they do help each other up to a certain point. I don't think you see a lot of Brazilians pulling ropes for the American contingent, no. And I don't see the Americans pulling ropes for the Brazilians. They've got their own guys to do that. They don't need, I think if they needed, I'm pretty sure a guy as popular as Guillermo Marchi, if he needed his bull rope pulled, JB Mooney would run over there and pull it for him and get him set and do the same job that he would do for J.W. Harris. Speaking of J.W. Harris sitting at number 5, he's a guy that came over from the PRCA. He won the championship there at least a couple times, if I'm not mistaken, Mark, and absolutely dominated at the PRCA. That you just don't see that dominance for that long a time, I don't believe, in the pro bull riders. And J.W. Harris saw the light, or got the message, or whatever happened, or just understood that he needed to, if he was going to be considered the greatest, he had to fight the greatest, and that's that's the name of the game. But he's sitting at number 5, and I think it's been very cool, the sportsmanship that these other cowboys have shown J.W. Harris, because that was a pretty acrimonious split from the pro bull riders and the pro Rodeo Cowboys Association, and they both have flourished. And again, Las Vegas is where they put the crown on the champion, so that's cool for us too. But JB Mooney has 5,105 points. Yao Ricardo Vieira at 3,790. Although he's got more than $500,000 in winnings, I think he's by far and away. He won 2 of the big 4 events, but that's pretty good. He's ridden 55 bulls in 43 events. JB's only been at 30 events. So he's got a huge lead. Imagine if he'd gone to 43, and Kaike Pacheco has been at 56 events. So of all the top 10, JB's got the fewest events attended. And he's only ridden 45 bulls. One of them, Kaike Pacheco, has ridden 75 bulls successfully out of 132 that he's got up on. That's a hell of a lot of bulls to get up on.
But again, JB is running this through his head and going, okay, what events do I need to ride? I don't need to ride 175 bulls.
Nope.
I just need to ride 100% at these events, and I will be at the finals. And
put the pressure on the other guys. He doesn't put pressure on himself. JB rides very smoothly. If he's healthy, there's nobody that I see that's in his class. Everybody else is. There's a whole bunch of people that are close, but I think when JB Mooney is healthy, he has no peers whatsoever. He is what Michael Jordan was. He is what Tiger Woods was. That's what JB Mooney is to this sport. And I think he very well, again, with his health, he's young, he's vibrant, he loves doing what he's doing. He has a great time. I think he's hugely popular and very, very good for the sport. And I think he's got 4 or 5 more championships left in him if he stays healthy. And you know, he does get a lot of props from these guys, and rightly so. But you know, I don't think it's going to be anytime soon that we see somebody come along with the skill level of JB Mooney and that competitiveness too. I think that's what separates him, Mark, as much as anything, is that, okay, here it is. Yeah, here's what I did. You know, if you can do it better, do it. But here's what I'm going to put down there I'm going to set the bar real high, and nobody's been able to get over the bar. Yeah, Ricardo Vieira won 2 of the big 4 events and has well over. I think he's got a $200,000 lead or thereabouts over JB Mooney in second place for the money, and JB never let that get to him. He just stayed right with it, and didn't care that Vieira won the two major events that they had were double points and double money and all that stuff, and JB just kept. He stayed right to what he wanted to do. He does credit his lovely young wife for helping settle him down and making him take some time off and get healthy and whatever. And you know, behind every successful man is a woman. And that's very true, at least in this case with JB. I think it's been very, very good for him. And man, folks, if you're listening and you have not seen this young man ride a bull, go watch, because if you're not impressed after that, once again, I'll say something nice at your funeral, because that's got to be what's next, because you cannot be alive and watch JB Mooney ride a bull. And then that leads us to the bullfighters. And when you have the bullfighters, and you're talking about as many things back that you go to the genesis of where they started. They had Rob Smets, the Kamikaze Kid, and George Michael from the Sports Machine, God rest him, was a huge proponent, and he's the guy that brought Rob Smets' name in front of a much bigger audience. And the Kamikaze Kid was a tremendous athlete, and just had balls the size of bowling balls, and the things that he would do to save these guys. And I believe Rob Smets is the guy who took them from being referred to as clowns to now being bullfighters. But you've got Jesse Byrne, Frank Newsom, Shorty Gorham, and Lindell Runyon are going to be here at least for this time. We miss Joe Baumgartner, who has retired and gone on, and certainly Rob Smets, 2 of the greatest bullfighters ever. But when these guys are out there and they're doing their thing, that's a whole nother skill set, to draw an angry animal away from somebody and then not let it do anything to you. And if you like moves that you see on the football field of guys, oh gosh, he made that 225-pound linebacker miss him. Yeah, well, make an 1,800-pound bull with horns that would go right through you miss you. That's a bigger accomplishment as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to see some of the greatest athletes on earth, including the bulls.
Well, it's funny, when I got to interview Rob Smets, and I said, God, how do you got to be missing some screws, okay, to step in front of the bull. And he looks at me and he goes, we're the sane ones. The nuts guys are the ones on top.
Yeah.
And he goes, all you got to do, he goes, the secret to my success is very simple. Just stay in front of the bull, because wherever that head is where the body's going.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is a guy that invented the entire thing. And they had the Dickies bullfighters when the Pro Bowl riders used to be at the Mandalay Bay for the first half, and then finish up with the Thomas and Mack. They had the Dickies bullfighters, and they had that competition, and they just simply ran out of guys that were healthy enough to let those, because it was not Bushwhacker and little Yellow Jacket and those kind of bulls and Airtime and Asteroid and on and on and on. It was not the bulls that you see with people on their back. They brought in them Portuguese fighting bulls, and they're a smaller version, and small being a relative thing. They weighed around 1,200 pounds on the average. The bulls that you see the Cowboys ride at the Pro Bowl riders weigh probably an average of 1,750 to 1,800 pounds, somewhere in that range. There's a big difference. It's the difference between a lineman and a little running back. And when they open the door and let that first Portuguese fighting bull out, he got one look at the bullfighter who happened to be the first guy out there, and he made a beeline for him, and it was like, uh-oh, and he had nowhere to go. and I got the picture of that bull picking him up, and that horn come right between his legs, and you're thinking, man, that was as close as I ever seen to an ivory enema, because you damn near got one. And yeah, so those guys, and I don't know where the hell you practice that. I don't know what hey, drive the car at me and let me see if I can get out of the way, because if you find out you can't do it, it's almost like the guys that do the freestyle motocross. Okay, I'm in the middle of this thing, I'm 60 foot up in the air, and oh crap, I do not have enough talent to do that. Uh-oh, here comes the ground. So
I will never forget. It was about five years ago. We were at the World Finals, and ESPN sent in a crew of media people, and there was a reporter there that just got on everybody's nerves because he was sports reporter XL. He has covered WWE. He has covered the climbing of Mount Everest, and rah, 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 this is going to be nothing. And I remember sitting, so we go down to the moat. You guys are out in your pen out there, and he's
the asylum, we call it.
The what?
The asylum.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what we refer to it out there.
And I'm on one side of him. The two Yorkies are on the other side of him. And, he's still just beating his chest about how this is nothing compared to, the running of the bulls in Pompeii, or,
Pamplona.
Yeah.
Pompeii would be a good place.
And I forgot who it was, but somebody on the other side of me said, okay, here's how it goes down. The first bull comes out day one, throws the rider off, turns around, looks for Mark, and comes after Mark. After that, we all step up to the fence and we're good. And yeah, well, whatever. And that's how it is. For whatever reason, somebody backstage tells the first bull, you see that guy over there? Go after him.
Yeah.
That first bull comes up, throws that rider, spins around, stops, looks right at me. No shit. This bull looked right at me, and he came right for me. This ESPN guy was up the wall, across the Thomas and Mack, and he was in the concourse.
Well, I talked to our friend Tom Donahue into going. I kept, Tom had been my boss at the Speedway, and world-renowned photographer, one of the finest photographers I've ever met. And Tom is the guy that hangs out of the frickin' helicopter and waves at us, holding on to the inside of the helicopter with one hand, and waves at us when they're flying over the Speedway. So it's not like he lacks for intestinal fortitude. And I kept telling him, "Come on, dude, you got to go shoot this. It's so much fun, and we have a great time, and you're gonna love this excitement. You're gonna get some great shots. You're right there." And he finally said, "Okay, when is it?" And he called Denise, and Denise Abbott, by the way, who does a tremendous job with the PR, and got credentialed. And here I am down there in the asylum next to Tom. I'm kind of showing him the ropes, and there's a couple of bulls that get 8 or 10 feet away from the chute, and they throw the cowboy. And Tom's taking pictures. He's got his big 400 lens where you can see the nose hairs on the bulls, and so. It was like the third or fourth bull, and I'm talking, and there's our group of 5 or 6 people that fit on the very front edge of the fence, and then there's another group of 8 or 10 people that stand either on the little riser behind us or in the gaps between us, and they're saying, okay, if that bull comes through here, he'll hit the fat guy first, and the old guy with the gray hair, and then we'll have a chance to run. So, but you always worry about them people being behind you, trip you up if you need to get away. Sometimes those bulls have a little different plan than what the guy that put the fence up had. But nonetheless, I'm talking to Donahue, and you're talking, and you're ready to shoot, and you're looking through the lens and seeing what you got, and this and that. And the bull makes a left turn, and the cowboy comes off, and he runs towards our fence, and the bull comes with him. And the bull's got him lined up, and whoever it was, I think it was Jesse or whoever, at the last minute got to turn the bull away, and the cowboy started coming over the fence. And I'm looking to tell Donahue, "How did you get a shot of that?" And I'm keep looking, and I keep turning around. He was halfway out the back gate. He was going to go over there and pet the Clydesdales. We're waiting for intermission. So it's a little bit of a learning curve to be able to. it's different from the moat on the side. You get a little different perspective. But when they're coming right at you, and you're thinking, I bet this bull could really hurt me if he wanted to, and there's nobody here that can help. They would just give me CPR or something afterwards. But there's nobody. There ain't no bullfighters on our side. I'm it. And I would think they would say, oh yeah, that's just like you said. Somebody say, see the bald guy, get him. So, well, that's about it, Mark. Baseball playoffs. It's in the National League. It is the Mets and the Cubs. Ought to be a tremendous series. Both teams very exciting. Again, Chris Bryant on the Cubs, I think, going to be Rookie of the Year. They both have pitching. They both have offense. They both have good. They play a good brand of baseball. They don't make a lot of errors. The Mets lost Tejada to the cheap ass slide from Chase Utley, and have moved on. And they do have some depth, and they do have some guys that are going to have to step up, as every team does at this point in time. Whoever's healthy, whoever's blah blah blah, timely hits. You get guys that haven't done anything notable. I mean, they're in the major leagues, so there's a lot to be said for that. But you have guys that really have not shown themselves, and all of a sudden they're on the biggest stage, whether it's the series, which we're in now, National League Championship Series and the American League Championship Series, to get to the Super Bowl. And there's damn near as much pressure to win that, to get there, to have the chance to play for the championship, as there is in the World Series. And you see guys step up and they respond, and you see guys that don't let the pressure affect them, and it really brings out the best in them. The guy that comes to mind was a cat who was really a second string catcher for the Oakland A's. His name was Gene Tenace, and Tenace. And the Oakland A's were in the World Series, and they had a huge lineup of very, very popular, very good players: Sal Bando and Joe Rudy and Vida Blue, and on and on. And Gene Tenace is the guy that stood up, and every time they needed a big hit, he just happened to be the guy on deck or standing there at the plate with the bat in his hands, and he just responded and was the most valuable player of the series. And those are the cool things that you get with baseball that you don't get from the others. When it's one and done, when there's one game and you're out, that sucks. And that's how they use two of the teams, or lose two of the teams that have gone all year, 162 games, and qualify for a wild card game, and they get to play one, and the winner then gets to go to a 5-game series. And I think they might look into that, at least making them the best 2 out of 3. I mean, I think it would be an opportunity for them to put that at a neutral site. They could come to Las Vegas and fill the place up for a neutral site, but they don't want to screw the fans over either. So they've got some decisions to make, but this is a very, very exciting time. Like I say, there's a huge Las Vegas connection. I think that's very, very cool. And certainly our high schools and the teams, I mean, they produce a hell of a lot of talent here in Las Vegas. Some of that is our weather that allows these kids to play a sport like baseball damn near year round. There's no real, I mean, It's not like you have to shovel the snow off the diamond very often. And, so we do have quite the program. You look at Bryce Harper, comes through CSN, and his coach, Tim Chambers, moves on to UNLV, and now running into a little more roily waters than I think he was prepared for, and having a few problems at UNLV that he didn't have at CSN. So things differ, but state of affairs wise in baseball, Vegas is certainly on the map, and we're certainly well represented, and it's a cool thing. So who do you like? What do you got? The Twinkies didn't make it. They got screwed. Listen, they were one game after 162.
It's the one game away. Did you really expect them to go anywhere near the playoffs other than in the bleachers?
Corey Hunter's still playing. I mean, Kirby Puckett's dead, but no, you're right. It's unfortunate, but again, I think the guys that that are TV executives have said, okay, you can have Kansas City, you can have Toronto, or you can have Minnesota. Okay, I think Minnesota would have got a hell of a lot of votes. Minneapolis is bigger, at least very comparable market to Toronto, and would have been a better thing. But the Blue Jays, they picked up Troy Tulowitzki and David Price. I think the Blue Jays are winning as we speak. It was 3-0 when last I looked, Mark. So A lot of fun, man. Looking forward to the Pro Bowl riders in the World Finals
right.
and the coronation of JB Mooney, and we'll have the pictures ready right here on Good Sports.
Links will be on the website.
All right.
Links will be on the website. We were going to do a lot of social media on there. I'm going to be doing all kinds of posting during the events, scores, interviews, and shit like that. So follow us on the website, follow us on Facebook, and also on Twitter. Also, if you have any questions, we will take them as well.
Yeah, there you go. And we will have some interviews. And by the way, what would you think of of some device that could stop 75% of the concussions in a sport, that combat sport, mixed martial arts, boxing, etc., or something like football? What would you think that would be? Do you think that would be popular, Mark? Do you think that would be something that would be well received?
I think it'd be fit. I think it'd be liked.
We're going to find out
real soon.
Real soon. Vegas Bets is off and running, and we're happy to make the announcement here. We wouldn't make it anywhere else, but we believe that's coming to a sporting goods store very near you very, very soon. As soon as humanly possible, we're going to make that happen, Mark. And God bless. We've been very, very fortunate to have an association with Dr. Dean Sicking, the man who developed the safer barriers, known as the soft wall, for Indy racing, and now Formula One and NASCAR all have it on all their tracks. And this is one of the coolest things. And also working on the bus stop barriers to make people not die. The only bad thing that happens to you at the bus stops here in Vegas is you miss the damn bus, and you didn't die because some drunk asshole ran into the bus stop. So that's where we're at, Mark. And I think those things are all really cool, and they're very, very near. And we will update people as we get there. Maybe for the Pro Bowl riders, I'll talk to Dr. Sicking about making a cowboy hat that would absorb that kind of damage. So, all right. Well, I guess that's about it. Any last words, Mark?
Check the website for updates and for all of the links. GoodSportsMedia.com. GoodSportsMedia.com. All right. Well, for Mark Anthony, I'm Rick Rosen. Thanks so much for listening. We will talk to you next week right here with the updates from the Pro Bowl Riders World Finals and damn near anything else that happens sporting-wise here in Las Vegas. We'll keep you tuned. And that's all we want you to do, folks. Check us out, GoodSportsMedia.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us probably at the local bar if you look hard enough. And I guess that's about it, man. So for all of us here at Good Sports, we thank you for listening, and we'll join you next week. Take care. Bye.